I spent years trying to figure out how to manage my chronic anxiety. And what I found is that I was oscillating between feeling good some days and feeling absolutely overwhelmed with chronic overwhelm and chronic anxiety, where these feelings just did not go. And I thought to myself, what am I doing wrong? I read all the books, I did all the meditations, the affirmations, the supplements, the diets, you name it, I did it. And I thought to myself, what could I possibly be doing wrong? Why aren't things changing? What am I doing so wrong when everyone else seems to have managed themselves? And you can't help but wonder, are you the only person going through it? I used to ask myself that same question. Am I the only person going through these chronic anxiety thoughts? I couldn't speak to any of my friends. I definitely couldn't speak to my family. I felt alienated. I felt isolated. I felt like I was the only one in the world with crippling anxiety. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how I got out of that. And I got out of it without any more self-development work, any more affirmations, any more meditations, any more self-help work that really was just like putting a band-aid on a cut. It didn't get to the core, to what was really, really going on. And I just did not want to do any more therapy or any more self-development work. I had really reached the point where I was like, that is enough. And so the work that I decided to do that actually came to me was really about rewiring the brain. And it happened so fast and so quickly. And really what it's about is really feeling like you are the boss of your anxiety. When you shift it around and you begin to think like you are in charge of your anxiety. Now, believe it or not, you cannot feel that you are in charge of your anxiety when you are in a very, very, very high anxious state. When you're in a really high anxious state, all your body wants to do is to survive. And when people tell you when you're in this anxious state, just breathe, just relax, your body and your mind just cannot do it. It's almost like that anxiety needs to come out. It needs to do what it needs to do. In that moment of extreme anxiety, the worst thing you can do is breathe. The worst thing you can do is think about calming down. The worst thing you can do is meditate. That's the worst thing you can do. I remember when I had my first full-blown anxiety attack. It was like a big, massive panic attack. And what I did was I sat down, closed my eyes, and I did some deep breathing. Did it work? Absolutely not. In fact, it made things worse. And what I learned to do was to really learn how to outsmart my anxiety. And in this video, I'm going to show you that this can be done. You can move out of your anxiety. It's not about any more nervous system regulation work. It's not about taking cold showers. It's not about hoping or believing. This is stuff that works. I work with many people from all over the world who have lived with chronic anxiety for so many years. And like you, they've got to a point and they've just said, enough is enough. I mean, they can't do simple things like go out. They don't have a social life. They feel like they're agoraphobic. There's so many things that they feel limited to do in their life. And why should you live like that? So in this video, I'm going to teach you how to really get ahead of your anxiety, even be the boss of your anxiety. And all it takes is 3 simple steps. And the first step is understanding how to coach yourself. So using exercises on repeat that you apply daily. And what that means is running through a systematic program where you are teaching yourself how to warn your triggers, how to deal with your triggers. So when a thought comes up, when a sensation comes up in your mind or your body and your body or both, you get to understand that you can be in charge of those triggers. You can be in charge of your thought process. You can be in charge of those sensations, those physical sensations that happen in your body when you experience a heightened chronic anxiety or panic attack. Those tingly feelings, not being able to breathe correctly, not being able to eat, just not being able to do anything. The cortisol is running around your body and you just don't know how to stop it. You can learn how to manage those triggers. That's step one. Step two is doing this on repeat every single day. And what this means is doing the pre-work. This doesn't mean that only when you're in a heightened state of anxiety do you do the work. Because as I said before, when you're in that state of anxiety, your body and mind is not going to listen to anything. It's not even going to remember that this is what you need to, it will forget about all of that. The pre-work is doing these exercises every single day where you are teaching yourself to outsmart your anxiety, where you are the boss. You are telling it what you want to happen. And it's not just a case of, I want you to go. This is a proven strategy where you are saying to your anxiety, I'm the boss, you're not. You're not going to do anything to me today. I'm going to be in control. I know what to do. I can control my triggers. Everything that you're sending me and everything that you're feeding me in my mind is a false alarm. And when you focus on these two steps, step one, coaching yourself, telling yourself that these anxiety feelings, thoughts, symptoms in your body are just false alarms, and repeating this process daily, you get to come out of your anxiety really, really fast. And all it takes is just a couple of days, a couple of weeks even. It doesn't need to take you years and years. You don't need to go through therapy. You aren't messed up. You don't need to talk about your trauma anymore. All you need is a system that can take you from having anxiety to not having anxiety. That is it. You don't need to keep talking about your past. You don't need to keep talking about what caused the anxious thoughts or the anxious feelings. You need to understand your triggers. You need to understand that you're in charge of your body. You're in charge of your mind. You are in charge of how your body responds. You are in charge of how your mind responds. You are in charge. Not your anxiety, not your panic, not your triggers, not your thoughts, but you.